Okay, it's recording now.
Okay, so we just finished watching Kids on the Slope. It's an anime about these teenagers from high school that, well, they're kind of into jazz.
Kind of. They're really into jazz.
Well, I don't even know their names. I don't remember their names that clearly, but there's this guy that he looks like a big tough guy. Centaurio,
I just keep thinking of Centurion,
Centauro, something like that.
Yeah.
And he is a drummer.
Very
And
cool
he's
drummer.
really good at it. And then there's this other guy, he's the new guy. His name is Nakirimi Osho?
I think so, but they call him Richie Rich.
Richie, there you go. I don't remember his name, but I remember his nickname, which was, Richie Rich or Richie, because he comes from a wealthy family and he's a new kid on the block, or a new kid at the school. On the slope. And he's a piano player, classical. And then there's this girl. Well, she's not part of the band, but she has a record store with her dad.
Her dad owns a record store.
Yeah, and they have a basement, and that's where they usually have their jam sessions. They practice down there. And he also plays the bass player, the dad.
He also plays the bass player, the dad. So the dad literally gets a bass player, he plays it.
No, I meant.
He literally grabs someone and he's like, boom, 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 boom.
Sorry, I had a brain fart. The dad plays the bass. He doesn't play.
He grabs someone and plays the bass.
No, he doesn't play a bass player. He is the bass player. Anyways,
Boom, 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 boom.
I enjoyed it a lot. I thought that the first half of the series was actually really good. I had a good balance of the jazz and balancing the jazz and the drama of the kids, because of course they're high school kids. There's always going to be drama. And the other half, I don't know how I felt about it. I know it definitely took a turn when they came back from break, because there was a moment when they had a break.
Spring break.
It was spring break?
Mm-hmm.
And when they came back, stuff just kind of changed. How did you feel about the show?
So I definitely did enjoy more of the first half, kind of like how Angel was saying. It was more like, it was really cool being able to hear some of the jazz tunes that I hear on a regular basis, or see the albums, and just kind of being put out there more in, the media. So that was really cool. But yeah, like the second half felt a little bit more like dramatic, more like, okay, high school drama. We're not in high school anymore like ourselves. So it was kind of like, okay, like it was kind of more like get to the jazz part aspect. But other than that, it was really good. I did get really sentimental, I guess, like more towards like the last episode. No spoilers, but like it just kind of didn't work out, but it did work out type of thing. But I was expecting to hear more jazz. And it kind of just revolved around a couple artists. Like we said, Art Blakely and the Jazz Messengers, Bill Evans. I think they mentioned Dexter Gordon. I can't really remember. They mentioned Chet Baker. And then you can obviously see some of the record albums on in the background.
That was really cool, because they actually showed that.
Yeah, the actual one. So that was really cool. But yeah, I was expecting to hear more jazz, or to see more people like join in.
So one thing that I did like is that some of the episodes most of the episodes had some type of jazz in the background, even when they weren't playing it or whatnot. They would have it, like in the first episode, there's this scene where Centauro, I think that's his name, San, he definitely is in a fight, because he's that type of guy. He's a fighter, not a lover. Anywho, there's like drums in the background, and you can hear like the jazz.
It was mostly like fusion, freestyle. drumming that was in the background, but we've noticed along the series that every person or every character had their own instrument to their character development. So like Sen obviously is a drummer, so there would be a lot of drumming in the background, and then Brother June, there would be a lot of trumpet mellow stuff in the background, and then Rich, obviously he's a piano player, so there'll be a lot of piano melodies in the background, and then in between whatever arguments or feelings, they just use that same instrumentation to kind of signify that was for them.
Yeah. One thing I couldn't figure out is I couldn't exactly read what the characters were feeling, or like what feelings they had for one another. I couldn't figure it out. Mostly other animes or other shows are kind of obvious in what direction they're headed with, but here it's like you're just kind of waiting for certain characters to, like, become a thing. They're high school kids, so they're all trying to figure out what love is and falling in love and whatnot. So it's a good experience, that, but it just made me feel like, what's going on,
Yeah, it was definitely like the whole emotional aspect of who liked who and if it's gonna happen was really messy. But like we mentioned earlier, it's a high school anime based show, so it makes sense because in high school you don't really know how to control your emotions, or like, everything is just like bigger than it really is. You can be infatuated like someone and be like, oh, I love them, but that's not really what it is. So yeah, that was a little bit confusing and a little bit messy. And for me, as someone that's not in high school and I'm like much older, in my late 20s, it felt a little bit like, okay, whatever, like, come on, keep going. I want to hear the jazz aspect, because that's really why I was, watching it. But if you're someone in high school or like your early 20s, you'll like totally fall in love with that, because you're probably still experiencing those things.
Yeah, you can relate way more to those type of things. As to what I can relate to now, I mean,
we're married, so it's just like,
yeah,
we don't deal with that kind of, we're just like, hey, I love you. You love me? All right, cool, man.
Yeah, pretty much. To wrap it all up, I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was really good. It's very short. It's like 12 episodes.
12 episodes, and every episode is like 23 minutes, but it's really about 19 minutes because everything else is credits.
Yeah, and then the intro is long, so it's still a good show. It's still a good watch. You can knock it down in like a day. If we would have not slept all night, we could have probably just finished it. But it's cool. It's a slice of life. It's not an anime that has a lot of action or none of that. It's mostly just, a slice of life anime. And I would probably give it maybe a 7 or an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, sounds about right. I will give it like a 7 out of 10. An 8 because it included a lot of jazz. But if you're trying to, get into that, discover some jazz, like into that world, I think it would be a cool show to start watching, and then from there kind of branch off. Because again, the artists that they do feature are real artists, living artists, and their actual albums. So that would be really cool. But yeah, I recommend it.
Yeah, like she just mentioned, it's a great show to kind of expose you to jazz, because I definitely was one of those naive kids who had no idea what real jazz was. I just thought it was elevator music and whatnot. But there's such a great art form behind it all. Like it's so exciting. It's really cool to see it in this form of anime, and they fairly do a great job at portraying that. So yeah, we will give it a 8 or 7. 7.5. Let's just stick with 7.5. It's almost an 8 because again, the jazz part was cool, but it could have been better executed. Maybe if it was longer as well. Thank you so much for checking this out. We'll probably be doing more reviews. I don't know about anime specifically, but other reviews in general.
Yeah, we can do more reviews. That'll be fun.
Okay, bye.
Bye.